Hi, everybody. My name is Nate Tubbs, and part of the Together Chicago team. We're glad you're here at Building Blocks of Peace today. I want to tell you a little bit about why we do Building Blocks of Peace. Why? So for some of you, this is a refresher. For some of you, this is maybe new. But there's two things we talk about a lot with Building Blocks of Peace. We talk about practices and places. Okay, so the meaning, building blocks of peace, we're talking about the elements, the practices that make our neighborhoods safe and peaceful. And when we say peaceful, we're talking about shalom. And we're talking about the places that we are committed to. Where are we present? Where are we committed to? Those are the places. So in the workshops today, on the panel today, you're going to hear people talk about practices. What are things we can actually do? And places. What are some places that we can be committed to? Here's some of the workshops that are going to be happening today. Neighboring, organizing, peacemaking, civic engagement. Those are some of the practices. And then the places. We're talking about blocks and neighborhoods and beats and districts, wards and schools. Places we can be committed to. And so this is the phrase we use a lot called faithful presence. Faithful presence. And this is a definition for you. Seeking the well-being of our blocks and neighborhoods through consistent, positive presence in proximity to our homes, organizations, and places of need. This is the work that many of you all do faithfully, and we want to celebrate that, and we want to learn from you, and we want to learn from each other how we can each do that even more. So today, just briefly, I want to talk about another way of thinking about faithful presence, okay? This is a little diagram here that I like quite a lot. And so I want to talk about these two things that pull us away from faithful presence. Okay, on this left-hand side, it says avoiding responsibilities. Okay, how many of you have ever shrugged off some responsibilities? Come on, be honest. Like, oh, I don't want to do that today, or that's not my problem, right? And so that can pull us away from being involved in our communities. Well, it's somebody else's situation to deal with. I don't need to take responsibility for that. On the other side is another extreme where we transcend our limitations. We try to do too much, or we're committed to too many things in too many places, and we're overstretched. So on the one side, we have this idea of like an under commitment, if you will. Like you're kind of living above your place. You're not really committed to it. You're floating around. Oh, it's not really my deal. And on the other end is this overcommitment, where you're just overcommitted. How many of you have ever felt overcommitted? Okay. And so this idea of faithful presence is this sweet spot that's somewhere in the middle, right? It's where we're taking up responsibility. It's a right-sized amount of responsibility. And it's accepting our limitations. That we can't be everywhere. We can't do everything. But we could be faithfully committed somewhere. We could be taking responsibility somewhere. And so here's just a way to think of these in other words. On this side, you have, that's not my problem. And on that side, I'm overextended. But we want to think about, what does it look like to live in the middle there, where we are present and engaged in our communities in a healthy, sustainable way, where we are characters in the story of our neighborhoods. I know some of you live like that, and when you walk through your neighborhood, people know you, they see you, and you are a peaceful presence in your neighborhood. And that's a beautiful thing. That is a valuable thing. That's something that other people can't do for us. The city can't make that happen. The police department can't make that happen. Organizations can't make that happen. But you can, as a resident, as a person, as a committed person to your block, to your neighborhood. So this is some of the thinking we want to be thinking about today. So I want to read this quote by Wendell Berry. How many of you know Wendell Berry? He was a Christian and farmer known for agriculture work. He said this: no matter how much one may love the world, and I want you to fill in Chicago, as a whole, one can only live faithfully in it only by living responsibly in some small part of it. Where we live and who we live there with define the terms of our relationship to the world, or Chicago, and to humanity. We thus come again to the paradox that one can become whole only by the responsible acceptance of one's partiality. All right, so this is this idea that living responsibly and faithfully in your part of the world, being faithfully committed there. That's what we're talking about when we talk about faithful presence. So how can we take up responsibility for our places and allow our limitations to cause us to be rooted rather than overextended? All right, so that's just some food for thought this morning as we proceed.